Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of The Conversation here on Lagos Television. We sincerely apologize for coming in way behind schedule today. I am Abimbola Bello.
Good morning. Welcome to the show. I am Ajibola Ojashola.
Good morning. I am Adibimpe Omotayo.
Right, time is fast spent. Let's quickly get into the show this morning. Yesterday, there was another court judgment. Again, this time barring INEC from recognizing all states congresses held by the ADC. And now, of course, this is eliciting a lot of reactions from many stakeholders, especially those in the legal sector. To help us weigh in on this conversation this morning, we do have a lawyer joining the conversation via Zoom today. And together, we'll quickly take a look at this judgment and what it means for the ADC, especially as preparations get into top gear for the 2027 elections. We're glad to have join us via Zoom this morning, Bolanle Olugbani. He is a lawyer. Thank you, Mr. Olugbani, for joining the conversation today.
Thank you for having me.
Right, let's quickly get into it. So yesterday, another judgment came in. What's your interpretation of that judgment from yesterday?
Well, I see the judgment as a judgment that was trying to create case law. Case law in the sense that whilst the provisions of the Electoral Act 2026 are quite explicit, quite clear, about courts not being allowed to intervene in the internal administration and workings of political parties, the Court of Appeals sought to create exceptions to the express provisions of the Electoral Act by saying that to protect democracy and to ensure that certain rights are not infringed upon, the rights of members of the party, that the court had a duty to intervene and to make things, right by their own interpretation following the law. And the decision of the Court of Appeal, as you are well aware, was a split decision, 2 against 1. And at the Court of Appeal, you need 3-0 or 2-1 to be able to emerge victorious. So it was a 2-1 split decision. The dissenting judgment of the third justice of the Court of Appeal was to the effect that the provisions of the Electoral Act are straightforward, explicit, very clear, and that the courts, including the Court of Appeal, ought not to intervene in the Congress's internal workings, administration, and schedules of any political party.
Okay.
So I see a situation where the final decision as to whether the law should be expressly followed or whether there are exceptions that can be created, to the express provisions of the law, I see that being ultimately settled by the Supreme Court.
Okay, Barrister Olugbani, are you implying that the ADC violated its own constitution by setting up that committee that supervised the state congresses? And I think there was a judgment from the Supreme Court saying that court does not have the right to interfere in internal political affairs of political parties.
Yes, at the material time when those who are running the ADC now were attempting to organize those conventions, there was a order of the Federal High Court which prohibited them, which forbade them from carrying out any activities towards the organization of a convention. And they went ahead to organize that convention. They said that they were acting within the constitution of their party and that they had the right to do so, even when the matter was still in court and some members of the ADC did not agree to it. So you find that there was a disobedience of an express order of the court while a suit was pending, and that may actually be the foundation of the ruling, the ratio decidendi, the reasoning of the court, in that you cannot ask for or ask that your illegality be validated when, or you cannot ask that your act be validated when you committed an illegality.
All right, Mr. Olugbani, from the judgment yesterday, and we do know that as of yesterday, the ADC had submitted or had uploaded all of its candidates onto the INEC portal. So by the judgments that came from the appeal court yesterday, does this have any negative or positive effect on the candidates that have been submitted to INEC?
Of course, the judgment of the Court of Appeal will set into abeyance whatever it is that the party has done so far regarding candidates. And the INEC, based on this judgment, will seek to obey the judgment of the court. So except the parties who lost, file a stay of execution of the judgment and file an appeal to the Supreme Court, the candidates already penned down or earmarked to contest in the elections coming very soon.
All right, I think we seem to have a network issue from that Zoom call with Mr. Olugbani. Hopefully, if we're able to establish a reconnection, we will conclude the conversation. But be that as it may, I think he has made his point, valid point so far. And he's also said the party can actually approach the Supreme Court for a better interpretation, which, of course, I think the presidential candidate of the ADC as of yesterday had said they will definitely approach the Supreme Court. But the question here is, will there be enough time?
Abimbola, time is not...
You were, no, go ahead.
Okay, let me wait.
I think INEC is now legally bound.
Not to recognize. Absolutely.
Honestly,
it's becoming it's becoming too, I don't know, but then it's just looking too much like the ADC is just having too many obstacles as a build-up to the 2027 elections. And again, like I said, January is how many months from here?
Abimbola, even before you talk about January, today is the deadline for the submission of
They
candidates.
already met the deadline.
So if what they have done through their state congresses has been declared null and void, what will happen to those candidates?
He answered, he gave a valid response to that, and he did say that from the appeal court judgment yesterday, INEC is bound not to recognize.
So for 2027 general elections, ADC will be nowhere, there will be no candidate for the presidency.
Except, of course, if the Supreme Court is able to sit before then and give a
rule otherwise.
And rule otherwise.
But where's the time? Where is the time? Because
So here's the caveat. You know, when it comes to courts, the court could actually say that you can stay execution as to what it was. You know, they always do this maintain status quo. So if they got to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says, okay, we will recognize. But the question is, at what time will the Supreme Court be able to sit? Because I'm sure that they are going on vacation really pretty soon.
Pretty soon, and time is not on the side of ADC. This is not the best of time for that party, and I hope that the leadership of the party will be realistic enough to note that time is not on their side. I was going to ask Barrister Olugbani that with this judgment, what is going to happen to David Mark-led ADC and that of Aregbesola? Are they still the chairman and the national secretary of the party with this judgment?
Mr. Olugbani, I'm sure we can use your voice, even if we cannot take your visuals at the moment. Did you get that question from my colleague? Okay.
You were asking about the fate of the current exco.
Absolutely.
Yes. So what will be their fate?
So that, their fate is legally inchoate. Can you hear me?
Yes, go
Yes, we
ahead.
can.
We can hear you.
Fail to be actually legally inchoate, because whilst they occupy the positions of executives de facto, de jure, that is legally, they are not recognized, validly recognized by reason of the judgment of the Court of Appeal as the EXCO, who can carry out duties and functions of the EXCO. All of their functions have been invalidated, nullified, up to the point of all of what they have done, prior to the judgment of the Court of Appeal.
Wow.
So their status, except they continue the legal process, would be inchoate, pending determination of, the question or the issue by the Supreme Court. So their best, course of action would be to file a stay of execution of the judgment of the Court of Appeal, go ahead to appeal the matter, before the Supreme Court. And of course, I was listening to you when you were saying that courts are about to go on vacation. The courts always have provision for hearing urgent matters.
Okay. Expedited
and the Court of
actions,
Appeal,
okay.
the High Court, they are what you call vacation judges.
Okay.
And if there's a real issue of urgency, the court may actually be able to, hear matters that have a time span.
Okay. All right. I guess it's a fine place to leave this conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Mr. Bolanle Olugbani, for finding time to help us break this down, what this really means for the ADC as well as the political parties in Nigeria. But we do know that, again, time factor will definitely come to play here at the end of the day. Thank you so much for your expertise on the program this morning.
Okay, Abimbola, I just hope that the ADC will be matured enough not to start pointing accusing fingers like the opposition usually do to the ruling party. This is the law, and then we got the real interpretation of the law through this judgment coming from the Court of Appeal. Earlier, we have had that of the Federal High Court. So I hope they will be reasonable enough not to start pointing accusing fingers at the ruling party to be the one behind their woes. Politicians.
But I think this also should be a lesson for internal democracy when it comes to political parties. I think there are a lot of things that also do go on, and at the end of the day, when things like this happen, we're always quick to point fingers and say that you did this. But I think the judiciary also needs to play a neutral part here. If the law has said you cannot also intervene in the domestic affairs
of political
parties, why single out other parties that you can also give a ruling on? So it is neither here nor there. You must come to equity.
So, equity on the table of politicians means something else entirely. And I don't want to imagine what will be going through the minds of Aragbeshola, David Mark, Atiku Abubakar. Unfortunately for him, this might be the last time for Atiku Abubakar to vie for the office of the presidency because age is no longer on his side.
That even what you said?
I said right now, I'm sure they're strategizing again while waiting for...
Absolutely. They are politicians. They would always find strategies. They would always find a way. We're waiting and we're seeing where the next line of action will be for the ADC. Right, we'll take a quick break. When we return on the conversation, part 1 of the conversation will be here this morning.
We're not taking the hashtag?
My producer says we need to go. So, Ajibola.
It's an hashtag.
Maybe it's good that we are not taking that hashtag. Maybe it's really good because
it's the reality.
It's the reality, but in the midst of the reality are also purveyors of fake news. There are a lot of doctored visuals. There are a lot of visuals from other states. There are a lot of visuals from other countries. But the particular one that was shared yesterday was actually from Bangladesh. And anyway, we need to go. And I know this conversation this morning is a little bit of technicality when it comes to stockbroking issues. You're probably going to pardon Ajibola and I this morning when it comes to some of technicalities when it comes to this particular one. But we'll try our best to just break this down as it is this morning. So join us again after the break.